In all of Chapman's 15 outings leading up to this one, he has not allowed a single hit. A hitless streak of this many games and innings hasn't been done dating back to 1901. What makes this streak even more impressive is that Chapman is 37 years old. By now, he should be well past his prime, fading away into retirement. But no, we're actually seeing the opposite. Chapman might be having his best season of his career in his age 37 season. This is something that even the Red Sox didn't see coming when they signed him to a one-year contract this offseason. For his entire career, Chapman has been known for his triple-digit fastball and wicked secondary pitches. In the past, he struggled to control these electric offerings, but this year, he just might have the best command in the league. But to understand how we got here, we need to go all the way back to his debut. The average fastball velocity in 2010 was 92.2 miles per hour. It wouldn't take long for Aroldis Chapman to increase that number by himself. The second fastball he ever threw at the major league level was clocked in at 103.2 miles per hour. This type of velocity will still catch your eyes nowadays, but back in 2010, it might as well be considered witchcraft. If we zoom out and look at this debut as a whole, you can see the hype that this velocity garnered. I want you to tell me the last time a reliever got a standing ovation coming in for his debut. We got this custom graphic on the broadcast, which in of itself is abnormal for 2010, but even a bigger note is that the broadcast didn't cut to commercial. We got to see Chapman trot out of the bullpen for the first time live. His first opponent was Jonathan Lucroy. The first pitch was a fastball which the broadcast had at 98 miles per hour, though pitch tracking had it even faster at 99, which was a consistent gap all night. Basically, you can add 1 mile per hour to what you see in the broadcast. The fastball was not all that Chapman had, and Lucroy would soon learn that when he swung through a slider, nearly hitting his back foot. Coming off that pitch was an 103 mile per hour fastball, then back to the slider. If you saw this crowd, you would think this was a close playoff game, but no, this was the 8th inning of an 8-3 game on August 31st against an eventual 77-win Brewers team. All focus is on Chapman. After this triple-digit fastball, you can see fans awing at the scoreboard displaying the velocity. He followed that up with an 103.4 mile per hour heater to get Craig Counsell to ground out. He then got Lorenzo Cain to ground out on a fastball at 100. As he walked off the field, even fans at the top row of the upper deck were giving him a standing ovation. In an 8-3 game in late August. Despite only pitching 13 innings in 2010, he held 19 of the 20 fastest pitches thrown that year. Neftali Feliz snuck one in at 104.1 miles per hour. Only 12 of the top 50 fastest pitches were not held by Chapman in a year in which he threw 13 innings. This velocity alone would make Chapman one of the most feared relievers in all of baseball in no time. In his first full season in 2011, he posted a strikeout rate of 34.3%, the 6th highest in the league that season, but there was a trade-off to all this. He posted a walk rate of 19.8%. That was by far the highest in the league that season. Chapman's control was his biggest weakness throughout his career. In his prime with the Reds, he was able to mitigate the walk rate in the 8% to 12% range. Given his stuff, that was plenty good enough to be an effective pitcher. From 2012 to 2015, Chapman was as good as any reliever out there, posting ERAs and FIPs at most in the 2s and even recording a sub-1 FIP in 2014, one of the 4 reliever seasons to do that since the year 2000 with that many innings. In that 4-year span, his only competition for the top reliever spot during that span was Craig Kimbrell, who just like Chapman, debuted in 2010 at 22 years old. Both of these pitchers began to slow down as they aged into their 30s. Kimbrell began losing his strikeout stuff, was walking more hitters, and was getting hit harder. Chapman's enemy was still only the walk. The walk rates for Chapman began climbing back into the mid to high teens, which caused his overall production to fall off quickly. It was looking like he was going to have a fate similar to Kimbrell's relatively soon, but then 2025 happened. His walk rate plummeted to a career low at 7.1% at the ripe age of 37. He has a 1.00 ERA, an ERA plus of 4.14, a FIP of 1.78, and is still striking out hitters at a near 40% rate. He still has that great strikeout stuff and elite velocity, but now he's just a command god.
The catcher basically is like just might as well have just waved his hand, just throw your fastball, right? Yeah, and he just throws it down the middle. Connor Wong is using PitchCom, and he pushes on his PitchCom inside fastball, and the light bulb goes off over Chapman's head. Aim small, miss small. That's what Chapman has done this year after hearing those words on PitchCom from Connor Wong, and all of a sudden his whole perspective has changed, and we have this new dominant pitcher in his late 30s. How cool is that?
Chapman is throwing more of his pitches in the zone this year than he has for most of his career. His zone rate, measuring the proportion of pitches that end up in the strike zone, is 55.1% this year. That is the highest we've seen from Chapman since 2017, and it is well above his career average of 51.3%. But it's not even his career high. Even in some of his down years when he was walking a lot of hitters, he had a zone rate near this number. That's because this success is not just about good command, it's really about the timing of it. You might be saying, what? The timing of the command? If you have good command, you have good command, right? Well, some strikes are more important than others. Let me propose to you this question. Tie game, bottom of the 9th inning, winning run at the plate. Which hitter would you rather face? Shohei Ohtani or Nick Allen? So obviously this answer is easy, but let me show you these numbers. Ohtani's OPS this year is .998, and he has a WOBA of .412. Nick Allen's OPS this year is .534, and his WOBA is .245. He's the worst qualified hitter in the league this year. Okay, so you still haven't changed your answer? Good. I think most of you would rather face Nick Allen. Now, little did you know, this was all a setup just to show you how much the count affects the game. League-wide this year, when the plate appearance ends with the hitter ahead in the count and the pitcher behind in the count, hitters have an OPS of .972 and a WOBA of .418. Those numbers are right in line with Ohtani's stat line this year. On the other hand, when the plate appearance ends with the hitter behind in the count and the pitcher ahead, hitters have an OPS of .520 and a WOBA of .224. Those numbers are actually significantly worse than Nick Allen's, who is the, once again, least productive qualified hitter in the league this year. No hate to Nick Allen, he's really good on defense. So basically what I'm saying here is that when the pitcher falls behind in the count, they're turning an average hitter into Shohei Ohtani, and when the pitcher gets ahead in the count, they're facing someone less fearsome than Nick Allen. Getting and staying ahead in the count is the most important thing that any pitcher can do. Aroldis Chapman this year is controlling the count better than he ever has. He's faced 196 batters so far this year, 115 of those batters went to an 0-1 count. Just 57 went to a 1-0 count. Chapman has a first pitch strike percentage of 71.1% this year. This number is the 5th best in the league amongst relievers with 50 innings. And when we graph this number out for Chapman's career, we see the relationship that we would expect. 2025 is just on a whole other level. His career high previously was 62.2%, which was in the shortened 2020 season. If we map out the rest of the count frequencies that Chapman has faced this year, we see a wonderful pattern. His 3 most frequent counts he's been in this year, excluding 0-0, are 0-1, 1-2, and 0-2. These 3 counts, uncoincidentally, are also the 3 counts that are labeled as ahead in the count for the pitcher. He's getting ahead and staying ahead. This is where the magic happens. First pitch strike rate is not the only stat that Chapman is seeing a career high in this year. He's also seeing career highs in out-of-zone swing rate, otherwise known as chase rate. This year, that number's up to 34.4% for Chapman, a new high and a huge jump from what he was seeing in the past few years. Why are we seeing this jump? Because hitters are more likely to chase when they're behind in the count. League-wide in 2025, hitters have chased 27.1% of the pitches outside the zone when they're ahead in the count. When they're behind in the count, that number goes up to 33%. This is not really that surprising. In a 2-strike count, hitters are more likely to swing at that slider that looks like it might be a fastball on the edge of the plate until it dives down into the dirt. In a 3-0 or 3-1 count, that pitch probably won't entice the hitter as much. This is another key reason why Chapman is seeing the low walk rate this year. Ahead in the count more often, hitters will chase more often, meaning that even if Chapman still doesn't have elite command of his breaking pitches, he can throw them in the dirt and they're still going to be more effective in these hitters' counts. And when hitters swing at those pitches in the dirt, well, Chapman's not going to be walking them, he's going to be striking them out. So while I do think we have seen improvement from Chapman's command this year, I think it's a lot to do with just being aggressive early in the count. Chapman's walk rate isn't the lowest in the league this year, but his location plus is the highest amongst relievers. That's because location plus accounts for the situation that the pitcher is in when he locates his pitches. In an 0-0 count, a fastball in the zone is a really good pitch. The old saying goes, there's no better pitch than strike one. Look at the locations where Chapman is throwing his fastball this year. The most heavily clustered location is pretty much right down the middle. His fastball is so good that he can throw it in there and still find success, which is part of the reason why being aggressive early in the count works so well for him. In prior seasons, Chapman would fall behind in the count more often, then he would have to be more aggressive in the zone with his fastball in 2-0 and 3-1 counts, which is when hitters perform the best against fastballs, even ones as good as Chapman's. This improved command and, more importantly, aggressiveness has allowed Chapman to record one of the best stretches we've ever seen from a reliever ever. During this span, Chapman has done really well to put himself in this situation, as we've talked about this whole video, but he's also gotten some major luck to go his way. There were 24 balls put in play against Chapman in this stretch, and here are the expected batting average for these batted balls. If you calculate the probability that all of these batted balls went for outs, it's around 0.2%, also known as 1 in 500. This batted ball from Jackson Merrill was the most likely to become a hit, but of course it was basically right to the center fielder Jarren Duran, so it was an out. There were a few other hard hit balls right to infielders as well. This is the key reason why we've never seen a streak like this ever. Not only is Chapman having a dominant season, luck is also on his side. This combination is really just as unfair as it gets for other teams. As of now, Chapman's ERA sits at 1.00, the lowest of his career. It's also the lowest ERA in the league this season. There is a little bit of luck to thank for that minuscule number. It's almost impossible to get an ERA this low without some good luck, though his FIP is also the lowest in the league this year, and his xFIP is the second best, which has much less luck involved. Chapman has certainly had his ups and downs in his career, but at the age of 37, he has made himself into one of the best relievers in the league again. As other star relievers from his generation like Kimbrel and Kenley Jansen fade away, Chapman is still going strong, making a powerful case for a Hall of Fame career.